American carrier aircraft burst beneath low dawn clouds and reveal a sea packed with advancing warships, their mass moving like a steel continent. And far below the aircraft, tiny escort carriers and destroyers appear dwarfed beneath distant battleships whose massive guns dominate the whole horizon. One colossal battleship silhouette rises above the fleet, so immense it seems to pull the horizon behind its armored mass. This is no skirmish. The enemy force is large enough to break everything behind him. A killing force that could shatter their lines. On the open water, the small American escort group runs exposed and fragile before a heavy fleet closing with terrifying authority. These were escort ships, built for cover and support, not for charging straight into the iron heart of empire.
But when the sea gives you giants and no escape, courage becomes the last weapon left.
Off Samar on October 25, 1944, tiny American ships turned toward a fleet that should have destroyed them. The battle off Samar erupted inside Leyte Gulf, Japan's desperate gamble to break America's return to the Philippines. Admiral Kurita still commanded crushing force, battleships, heavy cruisers, destroyers, and enough firepower to overwhelm almost anything afloat. Sprague's Taffy 3, by contrast, had 6 escort carriers, 3 destroyers, and 4 destroyer escorts screening them. On paper, it was not a battle at all, but a disaster waiting for its hour.
The Japanese fleet is closing. We must hold the line.
At first light, lookouts confirmed the impossible truth as enemy mass thickened across the horizon and gun flashes followed.
Enemy mass confirmed, gun flashes. They're firing!
Moments later, towering shell splashes erupted beside the carriers, sending seawater skyward like buildings collapsing into foam. The American crews instantly understood the scale of danger. They were facing heavier ships, bigger guns, and longer reach.
Survival now depended on one impossible task: hold the enemy back long enough for the vulnerable fleet behind them.
Hold them off! Protect the fleet!
Admiral Clifton Sprague ordered smoke, speed, and evasive movement as the carriers turned east and ran for life. Destroyers began laying gray curtains across the sea, trying to blind gunners already ranging them with frightening precision. But smoke could hide ships only briefly, and Japanese shells kept coming through the mist with terrible authority. So the American screen chose the only answer left: attack the giants before the giants could settle in. USS Johnston lunged forward first, slicing through spray as Commander Ernest Evans committed his ship to near-certain destruction. Hull followed into the gunfire, charging not with hope of survival, but with purpose fierce enough to matter. Herman accelerated too, driving aggressively toward cruisers and battleships that outweighed her in every measurable way. Even Samuel B. Roberts, small and lightly built, surged ahead as though speed and nerve could replace armor. Torpedoes streaked outward across dark water, forcing Japanese commanders to turn, scatter, and recalculate under sudden pressure. That mattered because every evasive maneuver bought moments, and every moment meant another chance for the carriers to escape.
Johnston took heavy punishment early, yet kept fighting through damage, smoke flooding, and steel torn open by impact.
Hull drove deeper into converging fire until the attack itself seemed almost more astonishing than her survival.
Roberts fought with astonishing aggression, making larger enemy ships react to a vessel never designed for such violence.
Herman pressed boldly enough that Japanese heavy units had to break rhythm and answer threats they had dismissed.
Some pilots attacked with full loads, others with empty racks, yet all of them added pressure and confusion. Diving planes, smoke screens, and torpedo wakes combined into a battlefield too chaotic for clean Japanese execution.
What Kurita should have seen as prey now looked like resistance flaring from every direction at once.
Sight lines broke apart, formations loosened, and fire control became harder as targets vanished behind weather and smoke. Meanwhile, the escort carriers kept fleeing eastward, their thin hulls trembling under near misses and incoming splinters.
Each giant shell splash struck like a warning that one direct hit could rip a carrier open.
These ships had been built for escort duty, not to absorb the wrath of battleship-caliber fire.
Crews hauled ammunition, fought fires, sealed ruptures, carried wounded, and waited for the next screaming impact.
Then Gambier Bay came under punishing fire, slowing visibly as Japanese gunners found her range with lethal persistence.
Her struggle told every sailor nearby that courage could delay destruction, but it could never make steel thicker.
Around her, the destroyers that had charged first were being shattered in the act of saving everyone else.
Hull was blasted apart under terrible punishment, but her attack had already helped fracture Japanese momentum.
Johnston, crippled and burning, continued to fight until sacrifice and broken steel finally carried her under.
Samuel B. Roberts battled far beyond expectation, transforming a small escort into one of the bravest names at sea.
Taffy 3 was buying time with hulls, fire, blood, and men thrown into oil-darkened water.
Yet each lost minute for the Americans became a lost certainty for the Japanese commanders pressing forward.
Kurita no longer saw helpless escorts. He saw smoke, planes, torpedoes, and resistance refusing to collapse.
Even Yamato, the giant meant to dominate battle, was pulled into uncertainty instead of clean annihilation.
方位が不明瞭、目標施設どうなっている？敵防衛がレジを潰るとでこう。Bearings shifted, targets the permit. The air defense seemed larger and stronger than reality.
What should have been a swift destruction became chaos, and chaos began corroding Japanese advantage from within.
Maneuvering now, fire when ready!
That was Samar's miracle. Tiny ships attacked so violently, they changed what the stronger fleet believed.
Eventually, Kurita turned away, withdrawing the force that should have broken through to the vulnerable invasion shipping.
The fleet behind Samar was spared, not by superior guns, but by smoke, torpedoes, speed, and sacrifice.
But victory felt bitter on the water, where wreckage, oil, flame, and survivors drifted together in silence. The sea held the cost plainly: broken destroyers, dead friends, shattered carriers, and men waiting to be found. Samar endures because ordinary crews on inadequate ships chose attack when reason predicted only ruin.
They were never meant to stop giants, yet they did, and history still struggles to explain it. If courage can take visible form, it may be Taffy 3 charging battleships through smoke beneath screaming aircraft.